Oh, man, Art, what in the world did I just watch? I thought your 49ers were done. What's up with that?
Hey, I'm feeling good tonight because those Niners, they're back.
Oh, you heard the man. Art Edwards is ready to go. Sports Sunday, less than 30 seconds away.
Portland will be the 18th team in Major League Soccer.
It's the City of Portland's championship.
It is great to be home.
Sports Sunday with Orlando Sanchez.
What is good, everyone? Welcome to Sports Sunday. My name is Orlando Sanchez. Art Edwards' social distancing game is strong. Where in the world are you this time, man? Come on.
Man, I'm in Japan. I am in Japan. There's a little bit of wrestling going on. It's a big event there in Japan, so I decided, you know what? I'm going to go check it out. I'm used to Chief Jay Strongbow and Bruno Sammartino, so I decided to change it up a little bit.
So you have a story to tell. I hope that we hear the rest of this thing coming up later in the show, man. All right, the countdown is on. The Ducks and Beavers kickoff in less than 20 days. We'll check into training camp. Plus, not the news that Portland fans want to hear. No Final Four and a big meeting involving MLB to PDX. It'll have to wait. And despite some concerns early this week over COVID-19, all NFL games went on as scheduled. Well, kind of. That does not include the Seahawks. They were on a bye, meaning they're still undefeated. All right, let's head north to Seattle and check in with Seahawks insider and NBC Sports Northwest Joe Fan. It's a bye week, Joe, but we got to know what is going on with the Seahawks this week.
Yeah, the Seahawks' bye week couldn't have come at a better time. I think most teams prefer that late bye week, but when you can get it early to get healthy before a tough stretch, it can be a really good thing, and that's what the Seahawks are looking at. They're 5-0 for the first time in franchise history, but they're going to come out of the bye week healthier than they were going in. Jamal Adams most notably coming back from that groin injury. He will be good to go in Week 7 against the Cardinals, and with that, the first game of divisional play. And you can't win your division if you don't win your divisional games. Over the course of the next 5 weeks, they have 4 divisional matchups in what I think will be a gauntlet that defines the Seahawks 2020 regular season. 2 games against the Cardinals, 1 against the Niners, 1 against the Rams, and then a tough road AFC opponent against the Bills sandwiched in between there. So a tough stretch coming up with the Seahawks getting healthy coming out of the bye.
One of the things that we've been somewhat critical about is the defense, but you mentioned in a story this week on NBC Sports Northwest that the Seahawks have a bit of a superpower?
Yeah, I think it's funny because we're having the same conversations this year as we did last year in regards to the defense isn't very good and they give up a lot of yards and a lot of points, but they find ways to come up with clutch takeaways. And I think they were second or third in the league last year in takeaways, and they already have 10 through 5 games, tied for the second most in football. So not only are the Seahawks taking the football away despite giving up a bunch of yards, but the offense is capitalizing. 8 out of the 10 takeaways, the Seahawks offense has turned into a touchdown. The other 2 have been end-of-game situations that have been Russell Wilson taking a knee. So quite literally, every single time the defense has given Russell Wilson the offense an extra possession, that group is capitalized, oftentimes very quickly. And I think that's been a huge key to the Seahawks' early season success.
I've got to ask you about Russell Wilson and the magical season he's on. Is he now the front runner for MVP?
Yeah, he went into his bye week as the MVP. He's going to come out of his bye week as the front runner in the MVP race, and even more so than he was going in, because Aaron Rodgers, for the first time all season, was very much human. He laid an absolute egg against the Bucs in Week 6. An ugly performance. So not only now is Russell Wilson the clear favorite, but also he has some wiggle room to now where he can go out and have a subpar performance and be right there in the mix. And so I think a guy you have to pay attention to now all of a sudden is Ryan Tannehill, who is leading an unbeaten Titans team, is playing tremendous football. Patrick Mahomes isn't going anywhere. You expect Aaron Rodgers to bounce back, but I do believe this will continue to be Russell Wilson's race to lose.
Seahawks insider Joe Fan. Make sure to check him out on Twitter and follow his work on NBC Sports Northwest. Thanks as always for joining us on Sports Sunday.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
And the Seahawks not the only team on a bye. Chargers and Justin Herbert, they're off as well. Herbert put together a strong start to his NFL career. Art, we got to bring you in, man. What do you think of the way that Herbert has played so far?
Well, I'm definitely impressed with most of what he's been able to do so far. More touchdown passes than interceptions. And in each of the first 2 games that he started, he made a mistake in the game that really kind of hurt them. The last game he didn't, but it looked like they really just kind of tightened up the playbook when they played against the Saints. He had those, 4 touchdown passes, but then they just kind of rolled it in and didn't let him do too much after that. But I think really he's off to a very good start, and he's getting a lot of praise from a lot of different people.
Yeah, tough to say that we all saw this coming, considering his coach said, no, he's not going to play. He's going to be learning. He's going to sit back, and this year will help him develop. Instead, he's thrown for basically 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Art, one of the interesting things I saw was that odds makers now favor him as the offensive rookie of the year. Wow. You saw that coming, right?
Yeah, nah, definitely not. And you know what? It's going to be tough for him to get it because Joe Burrow is playing some great ball. I mean, he's probably got 4 300-yard games. So, it's going to be hard for Justin to get that, but he's going to give it a shot.
My favorite part is hearing from a lot of the Oregon Ducks who are saying that they're watching him play and they're just as excited as he is about shining in the NFL. And speaking of Art, it's time for us to take our trip around the NFL, powered by Hyundai. Let's start with the game of the week in Nashville. The undefeated Tennessee Titans hosting Houston. The Titans' Derrick Henry was the man. He rips off a 94-yard touchdown run as part of his monster day. Ran for 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, also 52 yards receiving. This game went to overtime. Henry scored the game-winning TD, and the Titans remain unbeaten with a 42-36 win. Houston drops to 1-5. Art, did you see this start coming for the Titans?
No, definitely not. And you know what? I certainly didn't think of Ryan Tannehill as an MVP candidate. I say just give the ball to Derrick Henry and leave it at that, and maybe you're going to be okay.
I like that plan.
Hey, it's on to Pittsburgh now for a battle of a couple of AFC North rivals. The Browns visiting the Steelers. This is a classic rivalry. But today, it looked like no contest. Ben Roethlisberger, he is back and in a big way. Big Ben with the scoring strike to a wide-open James Washington. How do you get that open? That put the Steelers up 24-0 in the second quarter. Steelers never in danger in this one. They rolled past the Browns 38-7 the final. Baker Mayfield was banged up going into the games, had a rib problem. He left the game early because of that. Orlando, do you think Pittsburgh is the real deal?
Art, you and I have talked about this, man. They got to play somebody before I'm going to be impressed with them. This was their first win against a team with a winning record. But we're going to find out real soon just how good they are because they play the Titans and Ravens in their next 2 games.
That's tough.
Look out. All right, a matchup of future Hall of Fame quarterbacks in Tampa Bay today. Tom Brady for the Bucs, Aaron Rodgers for the Packers. Thought this would be a classic. Not so much. We've seen this one before. Tom Brady hooking up with an old friend, Gronk. Rob Gronkowski catches the touchdown pass. Tampa Bay scored 38 unanswered points. The showdown between Brady and Rodgers never came about. The Bucs win 38-10. Green Bay no longer undefeated. Art, you saw this one coming though, right?
Yeah, right. You know what I didn't see was the score. I guess I'm not that surprised that Tampa Bay was able to get a win because they're not a bad team, but not by that kind of a score. All right, it's on to the city of brotherly love and a battle of the birds. The Philadelphia Eagles rolling out the welcome mat for the Baltimore Ravens. Football's version of the human highlight reel. At it again. Look at this. Lamar Jackson. What's he going to do? It's jaw-dropping.
Oh, that's not fair, man. That's not fair.
That's not fair. He tossed that touchdown pass. Ravens built a big lead. They had to kind of hold on for dear life. Baltimore comes away with the 30-28 win. They are right behind Pittsburgh in their division. Orlando, can you believe the plays that Jackson can make?
We keep seeing it over and over, and every time it's jaw-dropping stuff. I think people in the video game world call him a cheat code.
I think so.
All right, now it's time to take a look at our heroes and zeros. You know what it is. The players and teams with good days and those with not so good days. What is going on here? Oh, I know you got me. Art, I can hear you laughing right now. Let's start with our heroes first, though. Atlanta Falcons' Matt Ryan, welcome to the show. Not just because he had a good day on the field, throwing for 371 yards, 4 TDs, but he helped the Falcons avoid blowing a double-digit lead.
They've done that.
Yeah, the Falcons were up 17-0, and then they held on 40-23 to beat the Vikings. Both teams 1-5 on the season.
Denver's Brandon McManus, he's our other hero today. All he did was kick 6 field goals in the Broncos' win over the Patriots. If you do the math, that's 18 points. That's all the points Denver scored. 2 of those kicks over 50 yards. Denver beats New England 18-12.
That man doing work. Okay,
Yes.
It's time for our first zero, and that's the Panthers' Teddy Bridgewater. He's been really good this year, but he struggled today against the Bears through a couple of costly interceptions. It wasn't all his fault, though, because, the rest of the Panthers' offense just didn't help. Chicago locked it down, defeating Carolina 23-16. The Bears now 5-1. Panthers now 3-3.
And our final zero of the weekend, the Jets, because 0 is the number of wins that they have on this season. It was another pathetic showing by the Jets. They lost to the Dolphins 24-0. Couldn't even score a point. Couldn't have been much worse in that game. Starting to wonder now if time has run out on the Jets head coach, Adam Gase.
I don't know, man, but the paper bag over the head, that says it all. I was wondering what that story was about. Nicely done, Art. Much more to come here on Sports Sunday. More NCAA basketball coming to the Moda Center, but Portland missed out on the big prize. And at the same time, a big meeting isn't happening. Welcome back to Sports Sunday. March Madness is coming back to Portland. The Moda Center will host the Women's Regional in 2024, plus first and second round games for the men's tournament in 2026. But it wasn't disappointing news because Portland was not picked to host the women's Final Four. Instead, the NCAA chose Tampa and Phoenix as its hosts in 2025 and 2026, respectively. That wasn't the only hit that Portland took in sports this week. Craig Cheek, the founder of the Portland Diamond Project, who's trying to get Major League Baseball to Portland, apparently had a meeting scheduled with MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred and several other league executives. But that's not happening anymore. The Oregonian obtained emails between Mayor Ted Wheeler and other recipients, including Cheek. After the Oregon Historical Society was vandalized last weekend, Cheek wrote, "It's having a negative impact and is really poor backdrop to get an MLB franchise to PDX," adding, "They don't feel comfortable in showcasing and hosting in downtown Portland at this juncture." So I asked John Canzano about the national perception of Portland right now and if he thinks that played a role in the NCAA's decision as well.
The volatility of the downtown corridor and all the vandalism and the Oregon Historical Society, it just becomes too much at some point, and it has to be a factor. It's a factor when people decide whether or not they even want to go downtown to have dinner. So yeah, it has to be a factor whether or not they're trying to figure out whether they can bring a Final Four to downtown. If I don't want to go downtown and you don't want to go downtown, what makes anyone think that the Final Four is going to want to come downtown?
And according to Canzano, Mayor Wheeler told Cheek in emails that anarchists from Seattle were responsible for the damage, and he foreshadowed that arrests were going to be made. Only 20 days to wait. The Ducks, the Beavers, they're getting set for kickoff. Do you have questions about the upcoming season? Well, so do we. What the teams are saying. Coming up.
Last hope for the Astros. And on the first pitch, in the air, right field. That is playable. Coming in, Margot, and that's it. The Tampa Bay Rays have won the American League pennant.
There it is, the Rays, the 2020 American League champs. The Rays held on to beat the Houston Astros 4-2 in Saturday's Game 7. Randy Arozarena won the ALCS MVP. The Rays will face the Dodgers in the World Series. LA just beat Atlanta to advance moments ago 4-3. This is also your Toyota Sunday Sizzle. The Oregon Ducks now 20 days away from welcoming Stanford to Autzen Stadium. This team is the favorite to win the conference, but we've got some questions. We know who some of the playmakers are, but the Ducks have to replace their entire starting offensive line. There's a new offensive coordinator, and for the first time in years, it's up in the air on who's running the show at QB.
I'm trying to earn a leadership spot on this offensive line, and I think a good quote Coach Mirabal put up today in the O-line room was from Michael Jordan. It says, you earn your leadership every day. So I think that's the perfect kind of mantra for the O-line.
Same philosophy of the smash mouth football. I think that's always going to be here as long as Cristobal is here.
We're taking shots, we doing what we can to be one of the most explosive offenses in the pack, and that's what we're gonna do.
The defense is ahead of the offense. Certainly, if you had to judge it by who actually won the scrimmage, I would say the defense did, but I would say the offense is certainly coming along.
Now I take that as an offense. Like, calling me skinny is like a terrorist threat. You know, I pride myself in being as big as I could be.
All right, then. For the Beavers, this is the third year under head coach Jonathan Smith. You know, the team really feels like a cohesive unit now, and they're looking to replace some key players.
It's a lot easier to go out there and, you know, put your body on the line, you know, do anything for your team or for the man next to you, you know, especially when you know that the man next to you loves you just as much off the field as he does on the field. And I would say that's probably our biggest leap, just being for each other in every aspect, you know, whether that's football or just simply life.
You know, I just want to be the best version of me that I can be, and you know, do the right things with the football, and put my team in the right position to win. You know, because my part is a very small part in winning or losing a game, and you know, so for us, we got to in the quarterback room, we got to do well as a unit, and the best guy's going to play, and it's really that simple.
I'm getting excited for this, Art. The Beavers will face Nick Rolovich and Washington State in Week 1. And look what Coach was wearing yesterday. The love between the Cougs and Portland Thorns.
I thought he was in command.
That's coming up. Welcome back to Sports Sunday. An update involving the Portland Timbers hosting LAFC. The Timbers up 1-0 in the closing minutes. Jeremy Abobasi with the lone goal. Portland Thorns player Morgan Weaver waved Old Crimson on college football game day this weekend. The Washington State alum waved the flag from the Met Club with the Thorns home field. That's why I recognize this place. They're at Providence Park, keeping the game day streak going at 248 weeks and counting.
Teofimo Lopez, we're going to talk a little boxing right now. He pulled off the upset over Vasily Lomachenko to unify the lightweight boxing titles. Lopez won it by unanimous decision. He's the youngest fighter to unify 4 belts. Man, those are some tough guys.
Yeah, no kidding. This was somewhat of an upset for a lot of people involved, Art. But you know who did call this? And I mean, before the fight ever happened?
Who's that?
Damian Lillard. You know,
no way.
He's a big-time boxing fan, and he put it out there on Twitter. He said he's winning tonight. Wow. And so if you ever need some boxing advice and you're wondering who you should go to for advice on that, call Damian Lillard. Because I know you got his number. You just hit him up on speed dial.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
So how in that world did you end up in Japan?
You know what? Because they had the big wrestling event there, I just had to get there. You know, it's almost 5,000 miles away. Well, 5,000 miles. That's some social distancing right there.
Art, I look forward to seeing where in the world you are next week. You are the social distance king, man.
Piling up those miles.
Hey, nice work as usual. It's time to hit the road, man. And we leave you with our Plays of the Week.
Champion, my opponents hate it. The throne is for the taking, so close I can taste it like.
Here's a high fly ball into right. Back is Bats on the move, on the track. He's got it. 160 yards and an acrobatic second touchdown.
Diego Valeri to serve. It's a good ball, and it's a goal! It's Bill Tuiloma. The Timbers have finally pulled one back.
And an unbelievable catch by my Cowboy fan.